Thank you for joining us here on the Nikki Clarke Show. The show is about conversations that matter. And I'm so excited to introduce a woman of many talents. She is a mom and she's an awesome entrepreneur, the founder of Heavenly Crops. Please welcome Orisha Burns.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And you have a fan in the background.
I do.
How old is she?
She's 2 months
2
old.
2 months old. So precious. And how many? You have 2 children?
2.
And you have a boy or a girl?
3-year-old boy and now a 2-month-old girl.
Ah, wonderful. That's great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for this time.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And I know that you have quite a bit happening. As you know, young children can take a lot of your time. I have 3 children too, so I remember those days. But let's talk about your journey as a mompreneur.
Okay.
You know, when did Heavenly Crops start? Tell us about your background leading there.
Leading up to the Heavenly Crops specifically, it's been bubbling in my brain since I was about 18, I would say. And actually, I think it came into mind when I was still in high school. And I think what really inspired it was I worked at like a big box grocery store when I was fresh out of high school and starting university. And when you're a teenager and a young woman, you get so, wrapped up in stuff, the things that you use for health and beauty, the things that you use throughout day-to-day life for yourself and the small ones. And I noticed over the time that everything that I looked at had such a complicated ingredients list.
Yeah.
And
hard to pronounce, right?
Hard to pronounce. Yeah. You looked at it and would just, go cross-eyed. And I just knew so many people who were extra sensitive to everything, either something would react with their skin or it wouldn't allow them to go out in the sun. And everything was just really complicated. And I've always valued simplicity. Mm-hmm. So working in that store and going through that experience and then just having a fairly simple childhood in terms of the core, I was fortunate enough to grow up in city and small town environments. And I feel like that gave me a pretty wide perspective. So while at the same time, I can totally understand the faster pace and wanting convenience and, pretty packaging and scents and all that, I totally get it. I also have a deep appreciation for simple things, for things that take time, for tradition, the homemade, handmade, more mindful things. And I started working on things for myself. So the Heavenly Crops really came about because I was changing my life to simplify my daily routine. And in the process, started making for others. And then it became a little bit more serious after the birth of my first son. What I worked on really, really passionately was a postpartum care package because I just realized that there's so many things that you have to do the research for and go out and get yourself, little boring things that are not as exciting as baby clothes. So a lot of the people who get that stuff help me to fill that void and help me to reach those people. Another important thing that I think has led up to this process is my upbringing, like I said, and being raised by and influenced by 3 generations of women. I feel like growing up with that diversity has definitely had an impact. Their experiences, their wisdom has really built me up to who I am, and definitely, whether they know it or not, has pushed me into what I'm interested in. Right. 3 independent Caribbean, Jamaican women, grandmother, auntie's mom, and then the aunties and mothers that are not blood related still had a huge influence. And always being interested in what their experiences were like growing up. And you realize things were so simple. They just took things from nature to put together to take care of themselves, whether for the day-to-day, to nourish themselves, to heal themselves. And I think that's always been interesting for me. I like being hands-on. I like to make things for myself. I take a special pride in that, I think. Yes. And so that's definitely led me up. And then, like I said, it got a lot more serious after my son was born, as a passion project, but then also as a means of work as well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's a really fantastic journey that you had, and you talk about, women, strong women in your life, influencing the way you perceive life. And I think there's something to say about the feminine energy when you're around it all the time, and how you look at life, and consequently the choices you make are a result of that type of view of life. So here you are, you're pursuing your passion work. You've created Heavenly Crops. Though, how long have you had that company?
So officially, the Heavenly Crop has existed since 2016.
Okay, 3 years.
So 3 years now. And it's mainly servicing people in the city of Toronto, but I also have the online store as well.
Okay.
And so that has allowed me to kind of reach more people. I would definitely say in the last 2 years, it's definitely picked up more speed. 27, a little bit more happened. 2018, a little bit more happened. And now this year, things are getting more interesting as well. So it's been a huge learning process, just naturally growing as something like a small business does.
Sure. So what are some of the items that you sell online?
So I brought you
Speaking
some
of which,
gifts as well, and I can kind of share some of the products. So
nice package.
So one of the staples is Shea Butter, which
I love Shea Butter.
get from a local Ghanaian merchant who ships it in from Ghana. I take the raw Shea Butter and I whip it so that it has a smoother consistency. I would say it makes it easier to use.
Like a butter?
Yeah, kind of more like a butter. Yeah. So this is one of the smaller ones. I have a bigger one as well. And the two basics that go together are black soap and Shea Butter. And really this is essentially my routine at this point right now,
well,
especially with kids.
Skin.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Especially with small kids. So having a simple soap, a simple moisturizer, and then the sun. That's pretty much what I use.
Do you mind?
Absolutely not.
I love black soap, and some people would be very amazed to know that it's really
It's food.
It's food.
Yeah.
It's food. And
so there's cocoa, there's palm, there's shea butter as well. There's plantain.
Plantain, yes.
And everybody does a little bit of a different flavor to it. Some people use different parts of those plants. So there are the pods, there are the leaves. Some people burn it to get ash from it. And people don't know that plants sud very well, so without adding chemicals to it, you can still get that lather.
You get a nice lather. Yeah.
Most of us don't trust things that don't lather. We've kind of been conditioned to want that to happen, and it does naturally with plants. And then you have the whipped shea butter, which...
So I know the shea is excellent for very dry skin. The black soap is wonderful for acne, eczema, all kinds of skin irritations.
It's really great. I mean, I've used both of these.
100% natural. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've used them both on my kids since birth.
Okay.
So they're that, gentle in a sense. Now, everybody's skin is different, of course. Right. So I've never heard anyone complain about shea butter. Black soap does not necessarily work for everybody, but thus far, I feel like it really does.
So these are things that you make, and
I cannot say I make them, right? Because shea butter comes from West Africa.
Right.
It cannot be done in a plantation style.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I find beautiful about it. You kind of have to go with what nature wants.
Sure.
It's something that really is controlled by local West African artisans, by mainly women.
Yes.
Who kind of control that industry.
Wow.
And so we ship.
Okay.
This is a womb steam.
Womb steam.
Yeah, a womb steam.
Okay.
So that's an all organic blend. And then I also have a body oil that people use for tension. There's also an aromatherapy aspect. So this one is for you, and I'll let you smell
Wonderful.
mine.
Thank you so much.
It's not fully organic, but the majority of the formula is.
That's lovely.
Thank you. So this is good for just, relaxation if that's the need. People use it after working out, before they go to bed. It's an aid during meditation for people who like to do yoga. I know people who use it for a number of different things. I wanted it to be more functional. I know people who use it as just like a perfume,
Well,
which is not my
that's what I was
intention,
thinking.
but a lot of people like the scents. Like lemongrass is very popular for people, lavender, so people are attracted to the scent of it.
Sure. It has a calming effect, right? The
Absolutely.
aromatherapy
Absolutely.
side of it. Yes. Well, this is
So
wonderful.
these are all you.
Yeah. Well, I'm absolutely proud of you. I love entrepreneurs and especially women entrepreneurs because we just have that, little extra challenges when it comes to managing a family and working. So, kudos to you for keeping it all together. And I hear your fan in the back. She's
happy.
She's very happy. So, tell us again how we can locate you online, or where can we go to a store?
So at the moment, I'm not in any stores, but you can find me online at www.theheavenlycrop.com, as well as on Instagram, the same handle at theheavenlycrop. I haven't branched off into Twitter and Facebook as yet, business-wise at least. And those are the two places that you can find me. I'm really flexible, so if you're located in the city of Toronto, I'm usually the one to deliver things to people, or sometimes people just want to come into my workshop. I don't have a storefront at the moment, but my workshop is kind of open.
You're on the way.
Yeah, kind of open to people coming through and seeing things in person, because that's definitely a big part of it. I would say a lot of the people who I serve, I guess, they're not the same in many different ways, but they are all men and women who I think have made a conscious effort to care about their health in some way.
It's important.
And whether they are mindful about their eating or their sleep or their parenting or the way that they communicate and perceive things, I find that the general makeup of the people I serve are thinkers, people who are just making conscious and making attempts to be mindful and intentional about the things that they do. And so I think that the appeal is not necessarily novelty. Like I said, I could not invent shea butter or black soap. My offerings are not new, but I think it's the quality of it and people seeing that the ingredients lists are so simple and so natural. And especially right now, I feel like that really appeals to a lot of people.
I think so. I think a lot of people are at a wall right now when it comes to the complexity of life, so they really want to return to the simplicity of things. So I'm sure you have a big market of people, looking to you for answers to simple solutions.
Things. Yeah, I try to keep it simple. That's the main spark behind a lot of this.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much again.
Your
your hands feel soft now.
My hands are so baby soft. Thank you to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks. Anytime. Orisha Burns, everybody. Go check her out on social media, Heavenly Crops. We'll be back. My hands are so soft.
The Nikki Clarke Show, transforming lives one story at a time. If you would like to be a guest or become a part of our live studio audience, or even to become a sponsor, just go to www.NikkiClarkeNetwork.com.